lesson is going to be on complex sentences. The reason that you're watching this lesson on complex sentences is that we just need a little bit more practice of using these types of sentences in our writing. So what we're first going to do is we are first going to review what a complex sentence is, and then we're going to do some practice with writing. So what is a complex sentence? Well, a complex sentence is an independent clause and a dependent clause that are joined together. So you may ask yourself, okay, well, wait a second. I know what an independent is and I know what a dependent is, but what's a clause? A clause is a group of words that has both a subject and a predicate. Please remember that a predicate is a fancy word for verb. So now let's look specifically at the independent clause. We know that if something is independent, it can stand alone. So the independent clause is a clause that can stand by itself. On the other hand, we know that if something's dependent, it means that it depends on something else. So therefore, our dependent clause cannot stand alone. It depends on the independent clause to help it in that sentence. So we may think, okay, well, what's going to make something dependent? Well, there's one little word, and those words are subordinating conjunctions. Now remember, we've already learned this song about our subordinating conjunctions. And I'm going to save myself the embarrassment by not singing this song for you on the video. Please remember, our subordinating conjunctions are the words that I am highlighting for us. When I add these words to a clause, it makes it dependent. It cannot stand alone anymore. So let's go ahead and let's look at some examples of this. Okay? This slide is going to really review what we've just talked about. A complex sentence combines a sentence, which is an independent clause, and a dependent clause together. Remember, we know independent stands alone, dependent does not stand alone. So looking at the independent clause, it says, my teacher sent me to the hall. I know a clause has a verb and a subject, so let's find it. Sent would be my verb. Who sent? Teacher. Let's go to our dependent clause. What is our verb? Shouted. Who shouted? I. Now remember, there's something about this that makes it dependent. That is our subordinating conjunction. And here, our subordinating conjunction is the word when. So there are two different ways that we can write complex sentences. We can have the subordinating conjunction in the middle of our sentence, or we can have that subordinating conjunction in the beginning of our sentence. Now I want you to look at those two sentences and make a statement. What do you notice about these two sentences and what's different about them when the coordinating conjunction is in the middle versus being in the beginning? You may have recognized that there's this comma. So whenever we have the dependent clause first, and again, I know that's a dependent clause because of this conjunction right here, we're always going to have a comma. So that formula is going to be DC, comma, IC. Then when I have my independent clause first, then my dependent clause, I don't need to have any sort of punctuation. It can stand as is. So please remember that whenever your subordinating conjunction starts your sentence, you must have that comma. So let's do some practice together. Okay. Here it says, she likes to dress as a witch. We have because, which we know is a subordinating conjunction. And then Sarah likes Halloween. So I know Sarah likes Halloween is going to go first. Then I have my subordinating conjunction because. And then I have she likes to dress as a witch. Again, I don't need to have a comma because the coordinating conjunction is here in, or excuse me, the subordinating conjunction is here in the middle of our sentence. So to form a complex sentence, Here I have the subordinated conjunction of when. I have Nate ate the poison candy. He died of a heart attack. And then I have that comma. All right, so I know that if my subordinated conjunction is in the beginning, I'm going to have a comma. And so they gave me that comma, which means that I'm going to have to use it. So when Nate ate the poison candy, comma, he died of a heart attack. Here we see that we have this subordinated conjunction that starts our sentence, so therefore we must have the comma after the clause. All right, what I'd like for you to do right now is I want you to combine these clauses to make complex sentences. Please go ahead and do this in your notebook, pause the video, and when you're done, go ahead and replay it. All right, so we have, since my dog ate my homework, I didn't bring it to school. All right, so I can see that my subordinating conjunction is in the beginning of my sentence, that's since, so I know that I have to have that comma after the clause. Here it says, we jumped in the puddles after the rainstorm. I know that I don't need to have a comma here, but I need to fix up my sentence a little bit. I need to capitalize the we because that starts the sentence, and I need to lowercase the a and after because it's in the middle of our sentence. And I also forgot to put this ending punctuation in this sentence and in this previous one. So take a second and look at your sentences. Did you put that ending punctuation there? And our third one, while baking cookies, Rachel burned her finger. Here's my subordinated conjunction in the beginning of my sentence, while. Then my comma is going to go here after the clause, and then I'm going to put a period at the end of my sentence. All right, what you are now going to do is we're going to do some quick practice with identifying the sentences, and then you guys are going to do some writing. So while Sarah bought for apples, she got her hair wet. All right, what kind of sentence do you think this is? If you said that this is a complex sentence, you're exactly right. Here is our subordinating conjunction, while, and we see that it has that comma there. What kind of sentence is this? Colin ran from the zombie, but the zombie ate his brains. Poor Colin. Right, if you said that this was a compound sentence, you're exactly right. Here we have our comma coordinating conjunction, and we have a subject and a verb on both sides of that coordinating conjunction. After Nate acted like a ghost, he was overwhelmed with fear. Okay, if you said this was a complex sentence, you're exactly right. After, as a subordinating conjunction, it's starting our sentence, so we must have this comma. All right, what you are now going to do for me in your notebook is you're going to write a story of 3 to 5 paragraphs. It has to have a beginning, middle, and end, so that's why you need to have at least 3 paragraphs about the following picture. I want you to use a variety of complex sentences. So I'm looking for DC, comma, IC, DC. Highlight those sentences yellow. When you're done, come over and confer with me, and we'll talk about what you wrote. When you have, when I clear the screen so you can see the picture, go ahead and just pause the video. All right, so after conferring with me, I asked you to come back and write another story again, focusing on complex sentences. If you want to, go ahead and watch certain parts of the video over again to kind of help you, or just use whatever conversation that we had in our conference to aid you in your writing. So again, you're focusing on using a variety of complex sentences based on the following picture. Again, just pause the video once I reveal the picture. All right, so here again, we're just doing some more practice on writing complex sentences. Here is another picture. Again, 3 to 5 paragraphs focusing on those complex sentences. Go ahead and pause the video when I reveal the picture.